What is going on, guys? Lord Valor here. Welcome back to
I'm sorry.
to another video.
I can't.
What is up with females? Whenever I have females on this podcast, whenever I do my intro, they just burst out laughing like a bunch of children. It's just the way this goes. So today on the podcast, I've got Justine. Justine is back, and now she looks like she's crying of laughter.
Oh my god.
So, welcome, Justine, to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, out of the blue, I'm gonna give context to how this podcast came about. So, out of the blue, Justine texts me and is like, "I'm gonna be on your podcast, and we're gonna talk about Shrek." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, we can talk about Shrek." And so here we are.
Well, like a while ago, you told me that if I wanted to be on your podcast, I would have to come up with a talking point.
Yeah, I said come up with a topic and something you want to talk about and something you can talk about for a solid half hour, and we're good.
Dude, I could talk about Shrek for hours.
All right, so take it away.
Okay, so how much do you know about Shrek?
I like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The second, third, and fourth were trash.
Ooh, wow, okay. Wow, okay, then you're probably not going to agree with some of the things that I have to say.
No, absolutely not. But that's why we're here.
Wow, okay. Man. This might actually damage our friendship.
Oh, gosh, okay.
I generally have a lower opinion of people who don't like Shrek.
I like the first Shrek.
Hmm.
The first movie is really good.
Okay, good. At least you recognize that. Some people I know think that, like, the first one isn't even good, and I'm like, I mean, okay, so your opinions are just terrible then.
And your opinion doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Like, you're allowed to have your own opinion. It's just wrong. And, so, basically, top reason why I love Shrek, I mean, it's just a good movie.
Are you talking the first one?
Okay, I'm going to be talking about the whole franchise here, but
okay, you're talking about the franchise as a whole. Okay.
I will be minus the third one. Shrek the Third, I will give you that god-awful movie, an insult to the Shrek franchise, and it is a perversion of Shrek's name.
What? Shrek the Third, what was the plot? I forget.
Shrek the Third is the one where, Shrek 2 is when they went back to meet Fiona's parents, right? And Shrek 3, Shrek the Third, that is when the king dies. And so Shrek and Fiona are going to have to take over the throne, right? But here's the thing. Shrek doesn't want to be king. He's a simple ogre who loves his swamp. You know, it's the simple things in life. So basically they go out to find Fiona's cousin, Arthur. And so as Shrek is sailing off, like leaving shore, going to find her teenage cousin Arthur, she yells from the shore, "I'm pregnant!" And there's this whole bit where, like, several things happen where, like, Shrek just doesn't hear the word pregnant just over and over again, and it gets kind of old by the end of it.
We love those bits.
Yeah,
those
bits
don't get old really quick.
No, yeah, they don't get old at all.
Wait, what'd you say?
What? Okay, so, so basically the entire movie is, like, riddled by Shrek having these nightmares of just babies, right? Like, they're barfing, pooping.
Oh,
At one point, Shrek is in a diaper.
This movie was just all over the place.
It was! And then that's not even the main plot of the movie! They go to some weird high school, and they run into some weird, like, Merlin who has like, high socks and really hairy legs for some reason. I don't know why I remember that detail. It was strange. So basically...
She doesn't like hairy dudes.
I never said that. So basically, the entire thing is just a bunch of, like, fart jokes and barf jokes, but with none of the actual substance behind, like, the other Shrek movies. Because, you know, the first Shrek, it really turned the whole, like, fairy tale thing on its head. Shrek was the first of its kind to do that. You know, now we have lots of movies where they take, like, fairy tale stories and they kind of, like, turn it on its head, right? Yeah. But Shrek was the first of its kind. You know, no one had ever done that at that point. So it was groundbreaking, and it was great, you know? But see, the third movie, they took what they thought people liked about Shrek, and then they based a movie around just like juvenile jokes with very little substance. And the thing is, the idea behind being scared to be a father, that could be a great thing to deal with in a movie, right? And honestly, that's on par with other issues that Shrek has dealt with in the other movies. And so they could have taken that idea and done something really smart with it. But instead, they chose to make just a terrible movie. And so, just so you know why I'm, like, saying that, like, Shrek is actually, like, a smart movie and they deal with important issues, you know? Because, so the first Shrek, it basically had this, it had the meaning of, like, you don't have to be beautiful, you don't have to be a fairy tale kind of perfect to have a happy ending, you know? At the end of the movie, the beast didn't turn into, like, a beautiful man. At the end of the movie, Fiona, the beautiful princess, stayed as an ogre with Shrek, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was the sort of movie where, like, the expectations that people had for all the different characters were just, a lot of them were just turned on their head. And so Shrek was just, I mean, it was ahead of its time. It also legitimized animation. Shrek was the first ever animated movie to get an Academy Award. They actually made the Academy Award for Best Animated Film, and the first time they ever gave it away was to Shrek.
Yeah, I'm not the first one, right?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah,
the first
Shrek movie is very clever. What I like about it is it has clever writing, it has clever jokes. A lot of the jokes, like, you can watch it as a child and not understand what Shrek is saying sometimes.
Like, I've got to go save my ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's
hilarious.
You
don't catch that.
Yeah.
But, so, like, the clever writing, the whole storyline, again, turning Disney, or not Disney, like, fairy tale characters on its head, wonderful idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when it got to the second movie, I didn't feel like I got the same thing as I did from the first movie.
Yeah.
It was completely different. It was like a 180 turn from what I thought Shrek was supposed to be, and so I just hated it.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll get to that in a second. But first, so you said that, like, it turned, like, you stopped yourself from saying Disney on its head. But actually, that's the thing.
That's the whole idea.
There were some of the main people who worked on Shrek actually used to work for Disney. And so a lot of what Shrek was targeted at Disney.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah, because, Shrek took pop songs and other, just, pop culture songs, and they put it into a movie. And they didn't do it with, like, Suicide Squad did it, where they played, like, I forget what song it was, but at one sad point during Suicide Squad, they basically just played a song that was called, like, Crying or something like that, which was dumb, they were trying to tell you how to feel. But with Shrek, those songs, like, what would Shrek be without All-Star? What would All-Star be without Shrek?
What would All-Star be without Shrek, I think is the better question.
Seriously. Yeah. Shrek took those songs and used them effectively, but then Shrek also had some scores that were written for the movie. And so those were played during more emotional, important scenes. So it was a great way of, like, differentiating the tone. And it was a great way to shift tone. And also, I mean, the theme of Shrek, it's just iconic now, do-do-do, do-do-do. It's amazing. I love it. Fantastic. Shrek. And so, yeah, also, Lord Farquaad, he was actually based on... okay, so this isn't entirely confirmed, but it is highly believed that he was based on, like, one of the dude's bosses at Disney, and it was, like, Lord Fuckwad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, which, that is also just hilarious, Just the lore behind Shrek is great.
Okay, I'm gonna pull Phineas and Ferb into this. So, Doofenshmirtz.
Mm-hmm.
Doof is the English word for dumb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a German word or something, like, I'm not going to be able to say it. Like, if you say Doofenshmirtz without the doof, it's Doofenshmirtz. Mm-hmm. And, like, Enschmirtz means, like, dumb or idiot in German.
Yeah.
So, like, similar concept to what
So
Lord
Doofenshmirtz
Farquaad's name
is basically Dum Dum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're getting at with Lord Farquaad, right?
Yeah, like they were. Yeah, I mean, this dude is like awful, so they based a movie, not even quite a villain off of him. That's another thing that I liked in Shrek. Like, Lord Farquaad was kind of the villain, but also not. You know,
Right. Yeah.
Like, he didn't play a large role. I mean, literally.
No, the short jokes begin.
Oh, I love them. Oh my god. If only Jacob were here. Oh man, that would be great. But yeah, so now getting on to the second movie. I guess I've never really talked to someone who hated the second movie before. Like, if they liked the first movie, they liked the second movie at least.
I just don't feel like it was the same thing as the first movie. Like, it's been a while. Granted, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Okay.
But also, it came out when I was really young, and I think it's also I've kind of scarred by the animation style of some of the people. Like, they just scared me. Like,
was it the ugly stepsister? Because I
No,
loved her.
No, that didn't bother me. That was so goofy and out there that it was funny.
Yeah.
It was more like they tried to make the fairy godmother like really pretty and cool, I guess, kind of. Like, not really, but like kind of.
Yeah.
But she was also like really creepy, and I just hated her as a character, and therefore I looked down at the movie because of that. The fairy godmother, I hated her.
Oh my god. The fairy godmother is one of the best villains ever. I
hate her so much.
I mean, you hit it right on the head. Like, it looked like she was meant to be pretty, you know? Like, she was meant to be, like, inviting and stuff. But she was so creepy at the same time.
So, I think a lot of my hate doesn't come from the whole storyline itself.
Mm-hmm.
It came from my hate for the villain when I was younger.
So, like, she freaked you out, and that's why you didn't like her?
Yeah, I think that's basically it.
I
just hated her a lot as a character, and therefore I looked down upon the whole movie because of that. And also her son, who she was trying to marry Fiona, was also a huge fiasco I hated.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to like them. They're villains.
I understand.
Yeah, I know.
I was 12.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense then. Yeah, I mean, I guess that she's honestly one of my favorite parts of the movie. And a lot of people really love her. And I'm not saying that that's the only reason why it's a good movie. But I mean, she does play a large role in it.
Looking back, she's definitely a good villain. It's just I think I was scarred by her as a child. I just hated her so much.
Some of her animations were rather creepy. But
and I think the animation style of Shrek is just very weird.
It's a little jarring at times, for sure.
It's also kind of disturbing in that way.
Yeah, I will definitely say, as much as I love Shrek, there are times, especially in the opening scene of the first one, where I absolutely cannot. But also, like, just in general. But, you know.
That's the style.
And also for the time, it was really good animation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So.
It's still good animation.
Yeah, it is.
It's just the whole style that Shrek is animated in, like the drawing of it and stuff, is just kind of jarring, as you said.
Yeah, it can definitely be jarring at times. Well, so I'm going to talk a bit about the plot of Shrek 2. Oh my gosh, it's Jacob! We were just saying it would be awesome if you were here.
Well, you know what they say, speak of the devil and he will appear.
So true, so true. Wow. Amazing. My short joke just...
It just really resonated.
Yeah. It kind of
just got a little more...
You know, it kind of just summoned him.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
So anyway, continuing on your Shrek 2 rant.
Okay, so Shrek 2, the plot of it. So, you remember the plot of Shrek 2, right?
Yes.
I'll just give a little refresher in case any of the listeners don't really remember it. I don't understand how they could possibly forget such an iconic movie, though. But so basically, Shrek and Fiona, they go back to far, far away, where Fiona is from. they go to meet Fiona's parents. But here's the thing. Fiona's parents are not expecting 2 ogres. They are expecting their darling Fiona with a human man, the curse being lifted, you know. So, understandably, they are a bit surprised and a little upset as well. Especially Fiona's father. He's livid. He is very mad.
Livid is the word.
Livid would be the word, yes. And so, basically, they're basically just, you know, reintroducing themselves to Fiona's parents. And so Fiona and Shrek are staying in Fiona's childhood bedroom, where she has all of these journals and stuff.
Kinky.
Where she has all of these journals and stuff, and Shrek goes through them, and he finds one of them that says, Mrs. Prince Charming, you know, like, she's tons of notes about how she can't wait to find her prince and have the curse be broken. You know, she is so excited to just be pretty all the time, you know?
And then naturally, Shrek gets paranoid.
Well, Shrek feels inadequate, because, you know, the thing is with Shrek that we established in the first movie is that he may look really tough on the outside and act like he doesn't really care, but he gets sad too, you know? He's not the most confident, especially when it comes to Fiona, because, you know, she's a princess, and he never thought that he would ever be loved, and now there's this beautiful woman who loves him, and he just feels like he's not enough for her. So he tries to fix it best he can. He ends up running into the fairy godmother, and he, like, basically asks her to, like, fix him? I don't know. And she says no, because she wants her son to be with Fiona, so it's the whole thing. So, what Shrek does is he steals a potion from the fairy godmother that's supposed to make him and his true love beautiful. And so him and Donkey drink it, and so Shrek turns into this hot, huge
Donkey!
Donkey!
Donkey, you're a pain in my ass, Donkey!
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 And so basically Shrek turns beautiful, Donkey turns
handsome. Never call a man beautiful
gorgeous.
Unless he's a valley girl.
Men can be beautiful too. Have you never seen a beautiful man?
Always call men handsome. Don't listen to her.
Jonah, you're so beautiful. So basically,
yikes. I just did not expect you to just not expect that you to call me beautiful just straight up like that.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
I'll do anything. You don't know what's coming next. So basically, then Donkey turns into this beautiful white stallion. You know how it goes. They run into Puss in Boots. Okay, what are you, like 12? Okay, so basically the plot goes, fairy godmother finds out what Shrek did. You know, Fiona also turns beautiful, so she decides, hey, I'm gonna keep Shrek away and have my son pose as Shrek. And so basically the story goes, like, Shrek's trying to get back to Fiona because he realizes that, like, he doesn't care if he's not enough. Oh, I should probably mention that he is also under the impression that Fiona has been given a love potion that if she kisses Prince Charming, she will be in love with him forever. So he's trying to get back to her.
That's how we got Voldemort, guys. Let's just not go down that road, please.
Love potions are never a good idea. If any of you ever are in this situation where you're thinking of using a love potion, just don't.
That's how you'll end up with Satan as a child.
Yeah, and you know, that is a situation that many of us get into on a regular basis.
So,
I mean,
I can't.
Yeah,
don't you just hate it when you give birth to, like, someone who's posing as Satan?
Yeah, I just hate it when I just, like,
happens.
have a love potion and I'm thinking of giving it to someone. I'm just like, oh, should I? What are the ethics of this? But so...
How ethical would it be to give somebody a love potion?
I mean... Well, see, on one hand, it's like, is it really true love? I mean, you know that, once they have the love potion, they're gonna be happy with you. But at the same time, is it a true happiness?
It's not a true happiness.
Yeah,
it's
not true, so it's forced. and you don't know what else was going on in their life. Maybe they had someone else, or maybe you're specifically doing this because you don't want them to be with someone else.
Moral
all
of the
in all,
story.
no love potions.
Moral of the story: if scientists are ever like, "Hey, we have a love potion we could give you,"
Pheromones.
how about we just don't go down that path ever? Science, thanks. Continue.
Yeah. So Shrek finds out about this love potion business, and he's just like, "Well, I cannot let this happen. Like, I don't know if I'm enough for her, but I sure as hell don't want her to be conned into liking this dude." And so basically he's just trying to get back to the palace before Charming kisses him. But the thing is, Fiona knows that something is up. Like, she doesn't know it's not Shrek, but she's just like, dude, you're so different. Like, and she doesn't like him anymore. And that's what I like about the movie, you know? Like, again, it's reiterating the thing where, like, just because you're pretty doesn't mean you get a happy ending, you know?
Yep.
And just because you're not pretty doesn't mean you don't deserve one and don't get one. And it just...
Even people like me can get dates. That's the moral of the story.
Well, I mean, they do also have to have a good personality.
Fair.
Yep. So...
Wow, was that a diss of my personality?
Yes, it was.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Alright, continue.
Alright.
I'll take that.
Yep. So basically, it's reiterating, the original message in Shrek. And by the end, Shrek gets, after this wonderful, wonderful, high-stakes scene where the fairy godmother is singing, "I Need a Hero," and there's a giant Gingy, and, like, they're pouring, like, boiling, scalding milk on him. He's holding open the gate. Shrek is rushing in. It's so exciting, and
it's a pivotal moment in the movie.
It is amazing,
clearly.
Just pure serotonin. That is the cure for depression. I want it in my life all the time. Wonderful scene. Shrek gets to Fiona. He's like, if we kiss before midnight, we can stay beautiful forever. And Fiona's just like, you know what? Frick that. I like us how we are. And then the midnight passes, they turn back into ogres, and Fiona kisses him. And it's adorable. And amazing. And so, again, just reiterating the great message of Shrek 1. You know, fantastic.
Yeah, again,
Yes.
biases to my childhood.
Yeah.
So we've talked about 1, we've talked about 2, we've talked about 3.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a 4th one, right?
Yes.
So what was it called?
Shrek Forever After.
Thank you.
So
is this the one with the giant gingerbread man stomping around?
I literally just described that in a scene in the second movie.
Wait, that's the second movie?
Yes! Yeah, there's this scene where Shrek says to Gingy, he's like, "Gingy, do you still know the Muffin Man?" Gingy goes, "The Muffin Man?
How did he...
The Muffin Man! Do you know the Muffin Man? The one that lives on Drury Lane?" You know, it's the whole bit. And, so basically then they say, "Muffin Man, we got some bacon to do." And they make a giant gingerbread man to, like, storm the castle. That's in the second movie.
I guess I didn't remember that.
Okay, you need to watch Shrek again. All of them. Except for the third.
I've watched the first one a lot, and it's a very good movie. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so the 4th movie.
Okay, so the 4th
Plot
movie.
synopsis.
Okay. So, basically, Shrek is married. They have triplets. Fergus, something else, and Felicia. And so they're at a birthday party for all of their kids, right? Because they are triplets, and it's all 3 at once. And so Shrek is getting stressed out by dad life, and there's a kid at the party who's like, "Do the roar!" And Shrek is just like, dude, people used to fear me. Like, yeah, I was lonely, but also it was kind of fun, you know? And now he's all, like, domestic and all that, and he kind of misses the good old days. And so he's
having a midlife crisis.
Basically, yeah.
That's
Shrek's having a midlife crisis.
Essentially,
yeah.
The 4th movie summed up is Shrek has a midlife crisis. Doofenshmirtz begins singing, "I'm having a midlife crisis." No?
Oh, wait, yeah, no, yeah.
That's
yeah,
like the
I remember
fourth
that now,
season.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I remember
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Continue.
Okay, yeah. And so Shrek ends up freaking out in the party, and he storms out, and then Fiona chases after him. He's just like, honey, like, what is going on? Like, what's wrong? He's just like, ugh, they get into a fight, and Shrek ends up saying, spur of the moment, like, sometimes I wish I'd never gotten you out of that tower, Horrible thing to say. But, heat of the moment, we all say things that we don't mean. And so they, Shrek ends up...
Fiona files for a divorce.
No, that is not what happens. That would be a very different movie, and I would not be a fan.
That's it, Shrek. I've had it. I'm filing a divorce.
I mean, with the time period it takes place in, I don't know if that's really an option. Let's think realistically.
That's it, Shrek. I'm gonna become a prostitute. Is that better for the times?
Yeah. Maybe you might want to use the term "woman of the night." Who knows? Maybe that's better. But so Shrek storms off. He ends up walking somewhere. I don't know. He ends up running into this tiny little dude. And what's his name? Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, naturally.
Naturally. So, Rumpelstiltskin says, dude, I know where you're coming from. You like your life. You just want a little taste of, like, the good old days, I get it. Here, let me help you out. We can make a deal. I'll give you 1 day as just a normal ogre again. All I need is 1 day from you. 1 day from your life. It can even be a day that you don't remember. From when you're a baby.
This guy.
When you're a baby. And Shrek is just like, it's just gonna be a day that I wouldn't even remember. And Rumpelstiltskin's just like, yeah, you won't even know. So Shrek signs the document, makes this deal. Turns out, okay, wait. So Shrek goes in, he's having like a day, right? And he's like running around, scaring people, being, doing what ogres do best. But then it turns out that the day that Rumpelstiltskin took from Shrek was the day he was born. So basically...
Didn't see that coming. Oh no. Shrek doesn't exist.
You're really shitting on my party here.
Continue.
Okay. So, basically, if, like, Shrek doesn't, like... So the one way Shrek can get out of this deal is if he has, like, true love's kiss by the end of the day, right? Classic fairy tale stuff. So he's like, that's fine. I know exactly where Fiona is. I'll just go get her. He goes to the tower. She's gone. She's not there. Turns out that right around the time that Shrek originally saved Fiona, Fiona's parents were getting desperate because they thought that she would never get saved. So they were going to make a deal with Rumpelstiltskin. They were going to sign away, the kingdom to, like, have her back and have her curse broken. But right as they were about to sign the document, news got to them that Shrek had saved Fiona. So, Rumpelstiltskin...
Oh, right. Isn't there this weird time...
Yeah.
Paradox thing going on?
Kind of. Not really. So,
it's really messed.
Basically, it's as if Shrek had never existed. So, in the world that Shrek is in now, Fiona did not get rescued. Donkey didn't get away. He went into the fairy tale animal slave trade. Basically just, the world sucks. Because also, Rumpelstiltskin took over far, far away. So he's in charge of everything, right? It's his world. So basically, Shrek is like, how do I find Fiona? Well, one way or another, he ends up stumbling upon this giant group of ogres, right? And who is their leader? Fiona! She's this badass war chick. Fantastic. Fan-freaking-tastic. Here's the thing is, the curse isn't broken. She just doesn't go among the ogres during the day. During the day, she still turns back into a princess, but in this world, she prefers being an ogre. Like, she already prefers being an ogre. And so basically, Shrek is trying to, you know, fall in love with Fiona all over again. He's trying to use some of the tactics that he used before when they fell in love, but it's not working because while she is Fiona, she's not exactly the same Fiona. And
She hits different.
yeah. Yeah. Basically, yeah. So also Rumpelstiltskin ends up storming the ogre encampment or whatever and like taking a bunch of them, right? So the remainder of them are trying to plan this rescue mission that they're gonna do that day. And Shrek figures out that like his tactics aren't working. He's gonna have to start working at what Fiona cares about. He can't just, try to pull her away from that and just, so basically they end up fighting together. Fiona is kind of she's not into Shrek because he's been telling her, "You're my true love" and stuff, and she's like, "There's no such thing as true love." Where were you when I was in the tower, basically?
About 2 years too late.
Yeah, basically. And so he tries explaining it, but in the end, they fight Rumpelstiltskin and they win. And of course, they end up falling back in love. And right as the day is ending, Shrek is starting to fade away, and Fiona's just like, "What's happening? Like, is there anything that I can do?" And
Kiss
Shrek,
me.
They actually tried that earlier in the day, but because she wasn't in love with him at that point, it didn't work. And so basically he's just like, "You've already done so much for me. You know what the best part of this day was? Getting to fall in love with you all over again." I'm getting choked up. Honestly, it's so sweet though. And they fall in love all over again. It's true. And he learns to love this new version of Fiona that like he didn't know that she had that side to her as much. Like he knew that she was kind of a badass, but like just the full version of it. And right as he's starting to fade away completely, she kisses him, and then everything goes back, and then he basically gets sent back to his world where he was born again. And he basically goes to Fiona and says, "I am so sorry, like I love you so much. I'm so glad that I rescued you, and I'm so glad that I have you in my life." It's just a great movie. And it's a really nice end to the franchise. It wraps up a lot of stuff. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't like Shrek 4. A lot of people don't like it. Because the thing is, Shrek 3 was so god-awful that it kind of ruined a lot of people's view on Shrek. Yeah. And so a lot of people just wrote off Shrek 4. It's just like, oh, it's just another money grab. But really, if it was just another money grab, they wouldn't have wrapped everything up so neatly at the end. And that's why I don't think that they should make a Shrek 5.
Are they?
There's rumors that it's in the works.
See,
and I really hope that they don't go through
Here's
with
the
it.
thing about the first Shrek movie.
Mm-hmm.
The first Shrek movie really wrapped it up very well and gave you no hints to the fact that there's going to be a second. Well, we got a second anyways. The second one, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think really set up anything to make a third, and we still got a third.
Yeah, the
third
sucked.
didn't really
I'm not
set up
arguing
anything to be a fourth, and suddenly we got a fourth.
Okay.
So, like, for me,
Mm-hmm.
if it feels more like a money grab. The second, third, and fourth one do. They feel like a money grab because there didn't seem to be a setup from the first movie to the last movie to make them all flow neatly. The example I'm going to go to is Gravity Falls. Gravity
Love.
Falls, you could tell from season 1 to through seasons 1 and 2 that they had thought about it, and that they had maybe even written parts of season 2 even before they had started making season 1.
Mm.
I don't know if that's entirely true, but the way they
There is a
wove
lot
together
of
the
planning.
the world building and stuff, you could tell that there was going to be a second season,
Yeah,
right?
Gravity Falls is a fantastic show.
Exactly.
There's so much thought that went into every single bit of that. And so something really interesting, just a little aside, something really interesting is if you also watch Rick and Morty, there are
The first
Easter
episode.
eggs. There are
Yep.
Easter eggs when they go through like some of those portals. Through one of the portals comes a question mark mug, a notebook, and a pen, which is exactly what Grunkle Stan
Put in.
lost into the portal when he did that. So
yeah.
Really funny.
That's really
the
good.
creators of those two shows were like friends.
Alex
and,
Hirsch and Justin Roiling they're tight.
Yeah, so they wanted to do like a crossover, but they knew that like with the copyrights and stuff, it wouldn't work, and also because Gravity Falls is a children's movie.
Falls is a children's show. But to be fair, I think they could get away with it now because the people that have watched Gravity Falls as younger are now grown up and are probably watching Rick and Morty anyway.
Yeah.
So like, if license problems weren't a thing, I'm sure they would do it.
Here's the thing: they did also sneak in like if you look in the Citadel of Ricks.
Oh yeah.
In the background, there is a Dipper and Mabel. Morty's with Rick.
Yeah.
So
they sneak in things.
Yeah, they sneak in things, so it's very funny. But so that's beside the point. So back to Shrek.
Yeah, so where I was going with that is Gravity Falls, you could see where they were weaving together the world, and so you were more interested in a second season because of the second season.
Oh right, sorry.
Because of the way it was wove together.
Right.
The thing about the Shrek franchise is they made the first one like, oh, it's popular, let's just make a second.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they did that with the second. They're like, oh, the second did really well, let's just make a third. And like there's no like interweaving of the movies to make it believable that it was like thought about ahead of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I do. And so most of the time, I would say if there's no setup for a second movie, it probably shouldn't make one. But it depends on what we define as a good sequel. So a good sequel provides more world building and just provides value to the world that it's already in and provides more context to what the story is. And then also takes it further than the first one did. So, Shrek 2 does a hell of a lot more world building. You know, we go to a completely different place.
Right, yeah. And I agree. Shrek 2, if you're looking from a world building perspective, it did a very good job.
Yeah.
But it's just like there was very little reference in the first movie to the fact that Fiona had parents. Like, not that they need to, but like if you're going to set up a second movie, you need to set up the mystery of some things in the first movie. Yeah. So when I got done watching Shrek, I didn't think, who are Fiona's parents? What do they think about this? Where they could have maybe hinted at that in the first movie to get you thinking about it, and maybe, I would like to see a second movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at it from perspective, if I just watched Shrek and didn't know that the other ones existed, I would not have wanted another one. Because there was no mystery at the end of it, like, I wonder what Donkey and the Dragon marriage ended up like, you know? So, like, there was no mystery at the end of the first movie to make me want a second movie, so when the second movie came out, it just felt like a money grab.
Yeah, honestly, I see where you're coming from. And I guess, like, so I'm not saying that Shrek is completely flawless.
Right.
Like, I will say that any other time, and I will deny ever saying that Shrek has flaws. But I will concede that, like, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of setup for a sequel. But I think that is forgivable if it's obvious that they did put heart into the movie and it actually made it, like, a good movie. Because for a lot of people, Shrek 2 is actually their favorite. Like, for me, Shrek 2 is my favorite. I love Shrek 1 because it's, classic Shrek. But Shrek 2, it didn't have the, kind of burden of establishing like who Shrek and Fiona were, they could just take what they already had and just explore what that was like in the rest of the world
Right.
more.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch the second, third, and fourth Shrek because I've seen the first Shrek so many times.
Yeah.
Because it's just a good movie. But I'd have to go back and watch the second, third, and fourth, and come back to you and be like, okay, so the second movie wasn't that bad, or like, you know.
Yeah.
Because when I watched it, I was very young,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a different mindset towards movies now than I did when I was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so actually, funny thing, for the longest time, I didn't even know there was a Shrek 2. I just thought it went straight from Shrek to Shrek the Third. Because I had never seen
literally
Shrek
makes
2.
no
I know,
sense.
it makes no sense. But to a child who had never seen Shrek 2, had never heard of Shrek 2, and was just like, yeah, Shrek the Third, I just thought it was a weird thing that they did. I was just like, I'm confused, but this is the way it is, so it's like the iPhone 8 to the iPhone X. Let's get the iPhone 9.
Right.
That was my mindset with Shrek. So imagine my awe and joy when I finally saw Shrek 2. I was just like, this is what I've been missing? My God! Why didn't someone tell me earlier?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but...
So you had a brain fart a couple of years.
Yeah, like, most of my life, considering, like, Shrek 2 came out in 2003, and Shrek the Third didn't come out till, like, 2005.
Right.
And I'd seen that many times, and so it was for most of my life that I had not seen Shrek 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we're gonna end that discussion there. We have 43 minutes
Wow.
of you rambling on about Shrek.
Yeah, that's
impressive.
the joys of ADHD. When I get hyperfixated on something, I can talk about it for a very long time.
A very long time.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, thank you, Justine, for joining me today.
No
and your
problem.
insight on the Shrek franchise. I think I haven't watched it enough.
Mm-hmm.
So to bring it in the back into my mind and like something I need to put on my list to watch again.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll definitely
we'll have to have
a
another
movie night.
podcast. We'll have to have another podcast after I watch all of them and discuss the thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
So
sure.
yeah, that sounds like a good second episode with Justine. So thank you again for joining me.
Yep.
If you would like to check the description, there will be a link to our Discord, Reddit, which I don't check ever because nobody ever is on, but that's fine. So just go to the links in the description. Links in the description to all the stuff you need. So thanks for listening to this episode of Lifecast. So when life gives you lemons, be an all-star.